Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and I'm so excited to see you. I cannot believe it's already Tuesday, and you won't believe it. It's not even Thanksgiving Day, and it's snowing in Southwest Michigan. So boots came out of the closet today, and I'm looking for my cute jackets. It's time that transition. But Cathy Gandy has something fun for us today. So say hi, say where you're from. Kelly, I see you're here today, and it's great to see you. And Cathy Gandy, it's so nice to see you. How are you?
Wonderful to see you. Stay warm with that snow there.
I know.
My heat went out yesterday.
Coated. Do you have snow? Oh, you're south.
Yes. But it got chilly here yesterday, and my heat went out, so they came and fixed it. So that's good.
That's a good thing.
I was wondering why my teeth were chattering, but then I looked.
So, Cathy, you've got something super fun, speaking of Thanksgiving coming up, and those that cook and bring food to other people's houses or go to parties. This is going to be really fun. Check this out, guys.
So you have a casserole carrier.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
And it's just really, really easy to make. There's just not much to it. So the handle just pulls out, and there you go.
Oh, that's cute. So does that keep it warm too, or just carry it?
Well, I did put in the heat-resistant batting. So I don't, so you can hold it. It's like a hot pad. As far as keeping it warm, I would think maybe a little bit, but I haven't tried it. You can see that my dish is empty, so I haven't tried to. I've carried the dish, but not with anything in it.
What a cute idea, though. In fact, just this week, we've got a little party that we're going to go to later this week, and that would be a great way to carry the casserole. So are you going to show us how to make this then? Everyone, I would love to know. My grandmother used to have something like this, and I just loved it. And I think I'm going to use what you're sharing here today to make another one. This would make a great gift for the holidays.
Right. It is so easy to make. The pattern, you can find it a lot of places on the internet. And I got this mushroom fabric, and I'm looking at it. I'm wondering if those are poison mushrooms on there. I don't know. It may not have been the best fabric to get for it. But anyway.
Don't eat the fabric. We'll just leave it at that.
Right. Yeah, don't eat the fabric. So it's really just two 22 square inch pieces of fabric. And then you have your insulated batting. And then I used another piece of batting. And then you have 3 strips. I have 2 5-inch by 7-inch strips, and then a 22-inch by 5-inch strip. And that's all there is to it.
All right, Cathy, I'm writing this down as you go in case anyone misses it. So you had a 2 by 22-inch piece. Just run through those one more time in case somebody wants to.
Two 22 by 22-inch pieces.
Okay.
That's the front and the back, the lining in the front.
Okay.
And then the same with the batting. And you can put batting on both pieces or just the one. So you can put the batting on here and here, or you can just put the insulated heat resistant here and then the batting here. So you could have however many layers you want, but then your machine's going to have to go through all those layers. So just be careful, because I went ahead and did batting and fabric here, fabric and heat resistant and batting on this one.
Okay.
So when I went to sew my corners, even though I have fantastic machine, this corner right here, I did the wrapped corner, so I didn't trim it. So I have a lot of stuff up here. So I just stopped sewing right here when I did my top stitching. So I didn't have to go through all of this because I have these on there also. So that was a lot of thicknesses. So I just stopped right here.
So everyone has it. You've got 2 pieces by 22-inch fabric. You've got batting, And then the straps were 5 by 7. Is that what you said for the straps?
These two small ones, the two small ones are 5 by 7.
Okay.
And then the long one here is 22 by 5.
By 5. Okay. Everybody got that. And in case you missed it, you can always rewind this. But now we got it. I just wanted to make sure everyone had the supplies. That's perfect.
So I did the edge-to-edge quilting. And I used, I don't know if you can see the edge-to-edge quilting in here.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
And you see how big this is compared to this in here? This is the same quilting pattern from edge to edge, but this is a lot larger than this. This is smaller. And that's because I used the 16 by 10 5/8 inch hoop on this one. And on this one, I used the 10 by 10 inch magnetic hoop.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And we're going to go into the machine so I can show you where you can see that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So you're just going to put your layers together and quilt each one separately.
Okay.
You make your strips, and I put them on this piece 1.5 inches from the corner. So I measured down I used a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So 1.5 inches from the corner, I put a pin, and then I put the piece like this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So about 1.5 inches from each corner?
Right, exactly. And then
Okay.
on this side, and then on the opposite end, you do it with the other one.
Okay. Got that. Anybody have any questions so far? This is awesome. This is super easy so far, too. One quick question. I see somebody asking, when you did the batting for each layer, did you put in the heat? What do you call it? The stuff that keeps it hot. I haven't used much of that, for, what do you call it?
Right. This is, here's a piece of it right here.
And it's not a Brother product, guys. You know that. But so you don't quilt that piece, right? That's
I did.
You did. Okay.
I did.
Awesome.
I quilted through all 3 pieces. On the black piece, I layered the batting, the heat resistant, and then the fabric on top, and then just quilted through all 3 layers.
Okay. Perfect.
And then on this one, I just did the batting in this. I didn't use heat resistance with this one, with the lining. Okay.
Perfect.
So you're going to do, and then with these strips, you have your 5-inch strip, and you're going to iron it in half, iron towards the center, fold it, and then top stitch it down.
Okay, that's pretty easy too.
And then, you're just going to stitch it here, and you can leave the raw edges on the 5 by 7 because that's going to be caught in your seam allowance. And you put it like this. There we go.
Perfect. All right, and you do that at one end and then the opposite. So think of it as a diamond.
Exactly. Then you're going to take your pieces and you're just going to stitch them together. So you take your front and your back. First you're going to quilt them before you do the handles and all that. So we're going to talk about the quilting later. So then you just put them together and sew the edges. Leave yourself an opening about 8 inches. And when I do that, I like to, you're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I sew up this way and back stitch. So that helps fold that in when you turn it.
Okay.
So I do that at the beginning and at the end. So I stitch in the seam allowance straight up so that it takes that lip that you're left with and it sort of pulls it in.
That's a good idea.
So it's just a straight stitch right here. So you end it stitching into the seam allowance.
So you're
turn it
from the edge, you stitch down and then stitch your whole entire thing around. That's a great idea. Then when you turn it in, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, it kind of gives it a nice tug.
Right. Yes. Yeah. You give it a little tug and it pulls it in. So it's really nice. I like that method. So then, and then I did wrap the corners, like I said, and it got really bulky, but it worked okay. They turned out okay. So wrapping a corner is when you finish sewing your seam, I just sew off, and then you just turn it on that seam. So I would sew this way, and then turn the seam, and then sew the other side, and that sort of wraps the seam. And so I would sew down here, and then when you turn it, it wraps the corner so you don't have that. I sometimes worry about trimming too close. So this you don't have to trim because it just wraps it right in there.
Another great tip.
So then I turned it, and you take your other handle, which is the 22. And with this one, you go ahead and do the same folding, but you go ahead and fold in the end about an eighth or a quarter of an inch. So you have a finished edge here. Because this strap, let me get the casserole carrier so you can see. So after I've turned it and everything.
It's not sewn into the bag, right? So you're finishing the end, you're just tucking over the very end. We couldn't quite see it.
What happens is after you're turned and you top stitch and all that good stuff, this is sewn right on here after it's all finished. This is the very last thing you do.
Okay.
And it's not, it has a little tuck here, so it's not flat.
Okay.
So it gives you the handle like. So you measure 2 inches down from the corner.
Okay.
And place it in the center, and then just give it a good stitch down.
Okay.
And then the same on the opposite end. And then you're done. You're going to take this, put your casserole in it, pull up your handle, take this through this loop, and then through the other loop, and you've got your carrier, which looks better with something in it. There we go.
Okay. Wait, hold that up. Got to see that again. So you put it through each of those end loops.
Yes.
Come over that way. I'll make you bigger. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's all, you just stick these 2 loops through it. So those kind of come there. And then these corners that the other ones on it are kind of come up above.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's so cute. So that's something that anybody could do. But now we're going to get into the fun part, which is the quilting part, which is
yes,
amazing.
Yes.
So you got the pattern. If you missed any of that, don't forget you can watch us over. If you're on Facebook, share it to your page. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and you can replay this. But now Cathy's going to get into the super fun stuff.
So we've, I guess if, I don't know who has the upgrade 3 or not, but that is where you're going to get your edge-to-edge quilting. But I've also been playing with the decorative fills in my design center and have come up with where you can get a full pattern and you can do edge-to-edge. So if you look.
We love that edge-to-edge. Very fun.
I don't know if you can see it here. Can you see that?
Let me bring you up. There you go. Yeah, just hold it there for a second. That's beautiful.
That's the orange slice pattern from my design center. And I was able to connect it because I have a full pattern, and I'll show you what that's like so that you can have edge-to-edge quilting with your built-in fills. Now you want to just do, you don't want to get carried away with some of them because some of them are hard to do, but some of them, it's like this here. I went ahead and I just drew my triangles and then put the quilting in there. And so sometimes, because if you're going to use a variegated thread and the pattern is real busy, even if it doesn't line up, you're not going to notice.
Hold that still for 1 second. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Did you do sashing around that too?
Yeah, I did the hexagonal sashing.
Oh gosh, you can really see that with that thread. Wow, just beautiful.
Yeah. So if it's a real busy pattern, but if it's a geometric pattern, we can go ahead and turn that into edge-to-edge quilting. But first we'll start with we'll go to my other camera, and we will start with what's built into the machine with on the embroidery side.
That sounds good. All right, well,
Yeah.
she flips. Don't forget, you guys can ask your questions and comments. Everyone's saying this is such a, I know, this is something super easy to make, and I love that we're getting it now because it'll make a great gift. So Cathy's swiping her camera, not swapping, switching her camera.
All righty.
Here we are. We got you.
Okay. Excuse me. So here we are, and I am going to go to embroidery. And we're going to go to the edge-to-edge quilting, which is right here. So I've always loved this section. I just am amazed at how they do these things. But we're going to come up here to the edge-to-edge. So you have 8 patterns. And the pattern that I used was, let me see, 6. So it was this one right here. Can you see okay. So I'm going to go to set. So as you've seen before, you put in the size that you want it to be edge to edge. So this one is 22, set, and it's going to do the width and then 22 for the length. All right. So if you look over here, you can see that or down here it says I'm using the 10 5/8 by 16 inch hoop. So that's your biggest hoop, and that's the one that it defaults to. So if you're using that hoop, it's telling you that you're going to have 3 hoopings across the top, or 3 pieces, and 2 rows. So you're going to have a row here and a row here. And the design is actually going to be 10.67 by 7.33. So, okay, so let's go ahead and scroll to the next one. And that's the 10 5/8 by 10 5/8. So if you look up here, this tells me that I'm going to have 5 hoopings across because I have 5 separate sections and 3 rows down. And now my design size is 7.09 by 4.4. So that's telling me that the stitches are closer together. So my pattern is closer together like I showed you on the casserole carrier. So when you change to a different hoop, your design could change size. You're going to have some more hoopings, but your design could change size. So does that make sense?
That does make sense.
So I did do the 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 on one of them. No, I used the 10 by 10, and I think the 10 by 10 is the same as this one. Let's go here. So it is. So 10 by 10 is 5 pieces across, 3 rows, and 7.09 by 4.4. Okay, so I've got a 10 by 10 inch hoop. So if I'm 4.4 width, I could possibly get 2 in one hooping. And I was able to do that a couple times. You have to just make sure that you move it over and get the hoop just right. Now this is the magnetic hoop. So what you need to know with the magnetic hoop, and I'm sure you can't see this, but if you get your magnetic hoop out, you're going to look, and the design field in here is not centered. We are used to having our design field just centered right in the hoop. So if you look, you'd think the center was about right here, but it's not. The center for here is right here because there's a little arrow there. So you can see that there's shorter distance here than there is up here. You have to be careful with the magnetic hoops because if this magnet gets too close to the plate, it may pull to the plate, and that's why you have a different size here. So if you look down here, this is the edge of my design, and this is the center. So here to here, I have this blank space. And then down here, we're here to here. So if you look, you're going to see all these markings. These are centimeters. And then on the outside, you're going to have the inch marks. And you do have arrows for the center. So I like this hoop a lot. I do use it a lot for the edge to edge, but because I wanted bigger quilting, I needed to use my big hoop. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, Cathy. And I have to tell you, I never noticed that before.
Well, it's just interesting, you know. You start looking at things, but and then the 9.5 by 14 is going to give you the big size again, and the 7.5 by the 9.5 by 9.5 goes back to the smaller one, and then the 8 by 12 is a smaller one. And the 7 by 14, which is our magnetic frame, is 10.6 by 5.5. So it's a little smaller with the width. So, and you can't double it because it would be 11. So you can't do 2 hooping. So you're going to have to move it. So, but that's just 4 pieces and 2 rows. So you just have the 2 rows and 4 pieces. So you can look here and decide, and you're also deciding how big the quilting is going to be. So if you had something large, you'd probably want to use your large hoop because you don't want the quilting real close together. So if you want your quilting closer together, you're going to use a smaller hoop.
I love that it tells you how many pieces, how many rows, so you know exactly what's happening before you even decide to go to finish everything. So you're not starting and going, oh, I should have gone to a bigger hoop or smaller. I've never noticed. That's one thing, though. I didn't really pay attention that it was actually adjusting the size of the
exactly. I was curious about that, and so and of course I didn't look at the size, which would have told me. So I did go ahead and stitch stuff out. There's so much to the new things, and sometimes we just we don't process it all at once. It takes a little time to get it in our heads. So I'm going to come to the flip option, and you have your different ways of flipping. I'm going to go to this one. I just kind of like it, so I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go to next. So there's something else that I want to show you about your edge to edge, which I found interesting. So I'm going to have a total of 8 pieces because I'm using my largest hoop. And of course, you can change your color here. I'm going to go ahead and put it into memory and say, okay. And this should be it right here. And I'm going to pick the first one and say set. So you can see how large that is in there. So it's going to tell me how to hoop it. I'm going to say okay and okay. So this is our 2-point system. We came out with a it's been around for a long time, but I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it until the 680W came out, the PR 680W. And so you're picking a point here, and then that's where you're going to pivot from. So this point is set. It's not going to move. And then you pivot from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is your pivot point. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm where I need to be. And then it's going to tell me to pivot down because this is, so you can see right there that is a point that's stuck. So I'm going to say, okay. And then I would pivot if I needed to. But you can see right here, you have where you can stretch it out. You can move it out or move it in because you have these buttons here where you can take the projection and you can project your image down on your fabric. And so you can see if it's where you want. So you can move that around right here and sort of see what's going on. So since this is my pivot point right here, I can pivot, but that point is going to stay there. So if I take and I make it wider, it's going to move it out from that point. So it's moving it out from that point, and it can move it in from that point. Okay, and it's the same way with making it longer or shorter. Okay, so that's how you can do that. Were you able to see some of that?
Yeah, that's amazing. I love all the options you have there. I mean, you can really, a lot of people were asking earlier, I don't understand how the edge to edge works. How can I fit that in there? Well, I think you just summed it up.
Yeah. But then as you move on, so I'm going to say okay to that. And if I had made a mistake or I wanted to go back, we're used to touching the needle plus and minus and doing the arrows up and down. Well, you can't do that. You have to do the segments. So it's telling me I have 8 segments. So if I want to go forward, if I had messed up segment 4 or 3, we'll go to 3. I can just scroll to that segment and say, okay. And it's going to just walk me through that segment now.
So, Cathy, that's one of the ones that I don't remember if it was Kim or Barb we were talking about. That's something that's a game changer because I did not see that when I was first playing with this, when we first, saw this. And you're trying to skip ahead to figure out, I turned the machine off, forgot to wait. And you're like, how do I get back to that one so I can line it up? Well, I stand in my mat and I was able to line it up anyways. But that's so easy, super easy.
Yeah. And so you just scroll through where it tells you to do something because you don't want to do that, and then you just go to your segment. But here, so now my pivot point is in the center. So that is where things kind of change, okay? So my pivot point is in the center. So I'm going to say, okay, I just wanted to make sure that you could see this because I think I know what I'm doing. We'll see, right? Okay, so I'm going to move my point to where it lines up there, and I'm going to say, okay. And then I will pivot it down. But now it's pivoting from here. It's not pivoting from here. It's pivoting from here. Okay? So I'm going to say, okay. So now if you watch your design, so remember when it's sized, it would size down or it would size down from the top here. Now, if I size it bigger, do you see how it stretches on both ends? So you have to be a little aware of that because I have sized it and all of a sudden the top end goes up into the quilting before. So you really want to pay attention that when you're sizing it, you see how, because it's from the center pivot point, it's going to stretch up and down. Both sides are moving. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's really cool. And you know what? This is a great tutorial because if somebody is going through half of this and you're not paying attention, I mean, this is really important stuff.
Yeah. And so now for the side to side, that point is stuck there. So the side to side is going to just move from this end. So this will move back and forth. With the up and down, it's going to move both ends, but side to side, it will just move that side.
That's really cool. Easy to navigate too.
Yes, exactly. It tells you exactly. You just need to know that that pivot point is where it's stuck. It's like a pin stuck in it. So if you have a piece of paper and you stick a pin in it, you can pivot around there. And that's how that point is. So the first point that you line up is your pivot point.
Caroline has a question for you. Can you change the pivot point?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Good question, Caroline.
Yes, thank you. That was a good question. Well, not that I know of yet. I'll keep checking.
You never know.
Never know. You never know. But that's the edge to edge, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I love how it works. It's just, I didn't realize that the different hoop sizes, which only makes sense, gives you a different size of quilting.
I've done, I think 3 now of different, just sections of playing with the edge to edge. I never noticed that number changed. I guess I didn't pay attention. I was just so excited to be able to.
We're used to our magnetic hoops, so we just sort of stay there. We don't go on to other hoops. And so if you haven't changed to other hoops, you would never know that. I don't want to get out that big honker hoop and hoop. But it's easy to use, but it just gives you a bigger quilting area.
Yeah. So somebody is asking, what machine are you using particularly?
This is the XP. It's been upgraded to 3.
So yes, it has the upgrade. Somebody was asking. Yes.
Yes. It was one of the first ones, but it has been upgraded to 3. So I just haven't gone to my scan and cut out a 3 yet to put on it. I still have just a luminaire. So on the head of the machine, if I just cut out a 3, then I'd have a luminaire 3, right?
Just put a little sticker in there. Nobody will
A little
notice.
sticker on it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so those are kind of the things that I wanted to talk about with edge to edge. It is amazing. There's a lot you can do, but there's things that you kind of need to be aware of so you can know what they do.
Yeah, that was a great
All
tutorial.
right. So let's just go home here. And now we're going to go to my design center. So I started with the orange peel because I think that they're kind of the easiest to work with. So let me get my paperwork here because I can't remember everything that I did. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Yes, she's going into my design center. Somebody was asking, are there additional fills in my design center? Well, she's going in there now, so you can see what's in there.
So here's my design center. And so it's a decorative fill. Now, if you don't know the difference between a line and a fill, a line has several angles because it has to move around. And a fill stitch fills an area and only has one angle. The problem is we see our decorative fills as lines, and they're not, because it is a line sewing, but it is a fill stitch, so it does have an angle. But we don't want to mess with the angle. So I'm going to come in here and go to here and go to select. And somebody was asking about the new ones. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see that we have 6 new ones here. And they're really pretty. I like them. But we're going to come back up here and find this one right here. And I'm going to say, okay. Now, I have a lot of times we have come into our shapes, and if you wanted a barrier, if you wanted your stitches to stop someplace, you would pick this one here and say, okay, and then come up to here and say, no stitch, and okay, and touch it. And now I could fill this with whatever, and it would stop there. But I found that I had a hard time when I did that to select my fill stitch. So I would much rather come into my shapes here and get my hoop, because now my hoop can be a barrier. And I'll get the 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 and say, okay. And if you look at here, let me go back there real quick. You do have an offset down here. So it tells you that, okay, you're going to get the 10 5/8 inch by 10 5/8 inch hoop, but the offset is minus 0.08. So it's not going to fill the whole hoop. It's got a little playroom there. Not much, but a little bit. So, and you can change that. That's just the default. So if you want to change it, you can. Okay, so now I have a barrier. I have something to stop my stitches that I can't select, that it's not seen as stitches or no stitches. It's just an outline. So I'm going to come get my bucket, and I will bucket it inside here. And there you go. So now I need to size it. Well, you can't size it until it is selected. So when you come down here, you have different select tools. Well, I'm going to just pick this one and select it and close. Now, I'm going to size it down. I'm going to take it. So now with our sizing, now I can use my sizing, and I can come here and I can size it with my keypad. So I can touch this, and I want it 9.15 by 9.15. So now I can just push in 9.15 and set, and 9.15 and set. And this way, I don't have to keep moving the box in and out, because sometimes it was hard to size that way. Not always, but sometimes. So now I'm going to say okay to that, and then I'm going to go to next. So this is going to show me what I've got. So I have got this, I want to size this up to 110%. So I'm going to come here and take it up to 110% and say okay. So do you see what happened when I did that? All of a sudden, I have whole patterns on all 4 sides. And that means that I can take that and I can line it up. I can sew a template. So let's see if I can find my template.
I love that design.
Took my 10 5/8 inch hoop, my 10 5/8 inch hoop, and put some tearaway stabilizer in it. Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
And sewed it out. And now I can just set this down on my fabric, and with my hoop, set this on my fabric where I want my design, and then I've got double-sided tape on the back of my hoop. Put that on my fabric right over my template, and it's right where I need it to be. Slip my bottom hoop underneath, and I'm ready to go.
Well, that's kind of a cool thing.
So that's how, and I did have to maneuver a little bit I just didn't come up with these numbers off the top of my head. I had to play a little bit. But then I found out that, okay, let's go ahead and close this and go to set. So you want to change you don't want to change the angle because that will throw everything off. You don't want an outline, it's off, so that's good. Random shift, well, if you're going to do random shift, you're not going to want to worry about getting it the right size because it's going to take it all over the place. This is the center. So with some of those designs, and we'll look at some of those later, using the centering is nice. And then right here, I have the triple or the straight, and there's a lot of stitches there, so I'm just going to go to the straight single stitch. So then I'm going to go to set. And if I wanted to be able to change this, I would save it into memory and say, okay. So now here I am over in embroidery. So I have my whole pattern now. So I can come to edit and I can size this if I want. So if I want to, and I will recalculate my stitches and okay. And I will size it, let's size it up a little bit. And now we've got it 12, and let's bring it in a little bit. And they're a different shape, but it's sort of fun that you can do this. And I have a whole pattern, so I can go ahead and do edge to edge with it.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's and you can just do it with a lot of the different patterns. So let's go back to my design center. And when you open up my design center here, so you can see that you probably wouldn't want to do that with this, but you could, with this one here, with this pattern, you could just bucket it in here, and you can see where that is. And with when you want to line that up, that's where this comes into play. I don't know if you've ever played with this, but see, it goes right to center. So you really have it. It's usually always centers. But if you want it some other place, you can move this to the side or down. And okay. And so it moves that center off, and you can center it however you would like it. So that's what the offset is.
Absolutely beautiful.
So is there any questions? Am I making any sense?
You are making sense, and there aren't a lot of questions. Everyone's just like, wow, taking notes. Great information. A lot of these things. Everybody's saying thank you. If you have questions, roll them in.
Yeah. So here we are. So there's another one that I play. I'll show you how I played with these to get them. You do have to play with it a little bit. So I'm going to come back in and get a hoop. So I'll come and get the 10 by 10 inch hoop and say, okay. Now you want to make sure that you don't make your design so large that you have no wiggle room. So that's why you can take it in and change the sides a little bit. You really kind of have to do a square with a lot of these, but if I made this so large that when I moved my hoop, I wouldn't have any wiggle room, I wouldn't like that, because then you're working too hard, because it's going to tell you it's too large for the hoop or it won't fit, and you're just going to have to keep working at it. You're going to have to unhoop and rehoop. Well, even with the magnetic hoop, I don't want to keep unhooping and rehooping. So give yourself some wiggle room. So if you're using the 10 by 10 inch hoop, you want to make sure that it's less than 9. You don't want to get too big, because if it's too big, you're just going to work too hard. We just don't want to do that. So you may have to hoop a couple more times, but at least you're not having to rehoop just to get it set, which you may have to do 3 or 4 times just for the one time. So we're going to come into here and select a design, and let's get, I think it's this design here, and OK, and bucket it in. All right. So here it is, and I can see that this isn't going to work. Now I played with this, and I realized that my size had to be 8.7. Do I have that selected? I don't think I do. Let's cancel that. That's I don't want that. I want this one. Okay. All right. Okay, there you go. That's 9.83. So I want to change that to 8.7 by 8.7.
You know, Cathy, I love that you can put in numbers now in there.
Oh, I do too.
Instead of going click, 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 click till you can get the right size.
Exactly.
Game
It makes
changer.
it so much nicer. It's really nice. So you can see here, this doesn't look like it's a complete pattern here. So when we come to next, so when you're looking at that, that's not actually what you have, but you see here how now it has switched, and I can see that this is a total pattern. When I sew this, I can take that same design and put it down here and add to it side to side and up and down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
So, but to get there, let's return, and let's just clear this and come back and get the hoop. And bucket it in. And so when I come to next here, you can see that it's not where it needs to be. So, okay, so I'm going to have to size it down. I want to size it down a little bit. So I'm going to come return. So when you want to size it, I need to select it. So because my size is grayed out, so I'm going to touch this and my wand and touch this and then size. And I'll size it. And I think I used the arrows for a while right here. Now, sometimes what happens when you size and you keep saying, well, I keep touching it and it stays the same, right? Because the machine is still working in millimeters or centimeters. So to get to resize it an inch, you have to push it about 4 times, or at the 1/8 of an or 1/10 of an inch, you have to push it about 4 times. So that's why it does that. It is moving. We just don't see it because it's thinking in millimeters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I would size it down some, and then I would say, okay, and go to next, because this doesn't tell you anything. Come to next, and it shows you that it moved it. So now I'm getting closer. So that's how I did it. It was kind of a guessing thing. But if you want to get real technical, you can bring up your grid, and you can use your grid to see how big your pattern is, and then do some math. And nobody wants to do that. I think I'd rather play.
I'd love to see the comments. Who here wants to do math? It's going to be like, high five. Oh, gosh, everybody's saying this is awesome. I agree.
Yeah, and so you just, so really when you're doing this, you really just are going to play with the percentage here. So if I wanted it bigger, so if I wanted to come up and make my design bigger, and okay. And so with the edge to edge, and that doesn't look bad. That's pretty nice. Well, it's not really quite right, but anyway. So with the edge to edge, you change your size by picking your hoop. Here, because we don't have stitches yet, we can change it however we want. So it's really a lot of fun that you can change your size here to get what you want.
Cathy, this has been a great tutorial. We've got a few people saying, not only is it a great tutorial, we made something useful. I agree, Celeste. I agree.
Yes.
Any questions for Cathy?
No.
Not so, Cathy, I think you've explained it so well, there's no questions.
Well, nice. That is there anything that you want to see?
Everything that you're showing is super fun and informational too.
Okay, well, let me show you something real quick. This has nothing to do with a casserole carrier or anything. This is just kind of fun. So I'm going to come into Disney. I was making something with the princesses here. And it was, I had this here. And I may have shown this, I don't know, a princess. Well, let me see. Let's go. Oh, let me go back. And so I'm going to come into here, and I'm going to get the princesses, and I'm going to get this and go to set. And then I'm going to add a princess. All right, so there we go. So I was going to sew this, but you know, I like to see the size. I want a template. Well, how am I going to get a template? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to group them. And okay. And then I'm going to come to this key right here. And I'm going to get an outline. And you can see that it just outlined part of it. So I want the inside also. So I'm going to turn that on. And now she's all selected. So it's just an outline. So I'm going to put it into memory. And okay.
I love that.
Yes. So now I'm going to come over to my design center. And I'm going to pick the shapes. And so that's the flower. That's where I put it. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And you can see I've done it before. So I'm going to select her. Well, before we do that, let's cancel that. I don't want a satin stitch. I just want a straight stitch. So I'm going to come up to here. So if you pick the default before you pick something, it's going to go to the default. So I'm going to pick a blue here and say OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and come back here and get her and say, okay, I think I did do this because of the click, click. All right, so I'm just going to take my bucket and bucket until the click kick means it's already there. Okay. So that's
I hate to say it. I feel like I'm watching a video game, Cathy. I'm like,
yeah. You just keep till you hear just the knock, knock, and no more clicking, and then you're good. Because there's so many little pieces. So now I've got a straight stitch. I'm going to go to next, and set. And okay. So now this is no longer a Disney design. I did send it, what I did was I sent it to the Scan and Cut and drew it on some paper, so I had my template. But now it's no longer a Disney design, it's just a straight stitch. So you can size this. And so you could use this as just a shadow, as some stitching around your design. Just some extra little Disney things. And I can come in here and I can mirror image it.
Oh, I love this.
So you can take these Disney designs, turn them into an outline, and then use them for other purposes. Now you're not going to have the fill, but it's kind of fun to just play with. And I haven't used them yet, but I think doing that with some of the Mickey heads and whatever would be a lot of fun.
You know, that outline, I think people forget about that, and I would love to see the comments. People are just saying, oh yeah, I agree. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, unbelievable, because you think of some of these that you can't use, you can't resize, and being able to send that to the Scan and Cut and Draw, total game changer.
Right. Because then I had the size and I could put it on my fabric and know what I was going to, how much it was going to take up, how much space it was going to use. So I had a better feel for it. And you just can't do that otherwise. So, and then now we have the no sew button, so that's nice too. You can do a lot of fun things with that.
Joyce says, never tried this before. Hey, so you got to show the no sew button. I have to laugh. I was on a live show a couple weeks ago, and I totally forgot it was under the edit button. And I was trying to show people where the no sew feature. It was one of those. Where is it? I know it's here. Oh, it was in Houston. I just had a complete
Oh, I know that your mind sometimes just goes blank. I know. I love to teach classes, and I prepare myself most of the time, and love to teach. But when I take a class, it's like all of a sudden I don't know how to sew. I don't know what a needle is. I don't know what thread is. It's you.
So true.
Right, so I'm going to come into 16. This is our new design section, and I'm going to pick this butterfly. Now, I don't know if you know why. So this butterfly sews this half and then this half. And I know people sometimes get, why do they do that? It's just irritating that it sews this and then sews that. And the reason that the digitizers do that is because if they go back and forth, the registration of the design is going to be off and it's not going to look nice. So it'll pull some of the design off and it won't line up the way it should. So that's why they do that.
Another wow learning moment there.
So yes, you come to edit and you have no sew. So I'm going to touch this one and this one. Whoops. Yeah. Is that taking them out? Oh. Okay. Well, you have to touch the no sew button. But if you look, every time I touch one, the no sew comes up over here. Do you see that? So I'm just going to keep doing that, and you'll see that it's taking half of that butterfly away.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in the past, there's so many cool built-in designs in the machine, like really cool designs, but maybe it was too dense or I didn't like all the colors, and I would guess and take them out. And then you embroider and you're like, oh, I should have added that one, like this main part. Now you can see exactly what it's going to look like.
Yes. And it gets rid of all those little parts, all those colors. So now I would just have half of the butterfly. Now you have to remember that it sees the whole design still. So this is not going to move over to the center. So this is over that way, but it's still nice. It's really a great feature. That's
a very cool feature. Everybody's on here. Cathy, keep going. I'm learning how to use my machine. I agree. I love that no-sew feature.
It
And don't
is. It's
forget,
very nice.
everyone, now you'll never forget it's under the edit function.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing what we can find under edit. Yeah.
Awesome.
There's where you can change the sewing pattern, which one sews first, second. Because when we pick a design and then we go pick another design, the machine is going to sew them out in the order that we pick them. But that may not be how we want to sew them. So we used to have to go out and delete them and then add them back again. But now we have this button here so you can change the sewing order.
Why don't you show them, Cathy, how that one works?
If I can remember. Okay.
We've got like 3 more minutes, 4 more minutes left.
Okay, so come into embroidery and I'll pick 3 and set.
Oh, they're so
and
cute.
Add. I don't know. Okay, so if I come to edit and I pick this, then I can change my sewing order. Now the cake will go first and then the 3. So the 3 is now on top of the cake instead of behind it.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, of course you wouldn't want to do that.
Because I picked that first and then the other, but you probably wouldn't want to do that. But anyway. Okay. But it gives you the idea. You can sort of see what's going on. So if I want to select, that's the cake. So I can move the cake up. And I don't know if you mess with the select button here, and then I can move that down. But it will still sew the cake first, and then it will sew the 3 over the. Let me see. Let's go back to select the cake and bring the cake down, and then select the 3 and bring it up on top. There we go. There we go. There we go. There. All right. But so you can change the sewing order if you think, oh gosh, I didn't mean to pick that first. I want to pick this other one. And then you don't have to go out. You don't have to delete it and go out and redo it. You can just change the sewing order.
So many cool things. We could go on here for hours. Everybody's like, this is so much fun. I agree, Joyce. I agree. But our hour's up, and we better wrap it up before I have no voice left. Too many good laughs. This was a great project, Cathy. You want to come back to us on camera?
I'll give it a try here.
All right. So while she's coming back, I see all of you saying, wow, I agree. This has been awesome, by the way. Awesome. So here she is. A great tutorial, a great project that we can use. I just think it's fantastic. And all of you saying, I cannot wait to rewatch this. So don't forget on Facebook, if you share it to your page, you can rewatch. On YouTube, you can share it and rewatch again. A couple of you said I was there with my notepad. I was here with my notepad. I'm going to make this. This will make a great holiday gift. Oh my gosh.
It is cute. And what's nice is when you do your edge-to-edge quilting, you can do a huge piece and then just cut it down so you can make several of them.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. This was great. Cathy, this was a fantastic tutorial. Somebody just said, was it Susie? I think Susie said she just saw you in Florida at Tops. Were you at Tops there recently?
Yes, I was. It's been a little while, and they're great people there. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Clovis. I got your email too, by the way. I'll be replying to you soon. Everybody's saying thanks. Well, this was fantastic. I'm just so happy to have this, Cathy, and a great tutorial. If you guys have questions, don't forget, Brother will answer for you, or we'll go track Cathy down, because I think you are definitely the expert when it comes to the Luminaire. And I would love to know from people watching how many new things you learned today, because I can think of a few on my own too.
Well, thank you. You feel better.
I will. I'm on the mend. It just this is the most I've talked in like 5 days, but it was the best talking ever.
Good.
Everyone's saying,
I enjoy it so much. I enjoy the Luminaire. I enjoy being on your show. It's just amazing. Thank you so much.
So much fun. So Cathy, by the way, Cat's out of the bag now, so I can probably share just a wee bit. When that new searcher comes out in January, everybody says, well, what's this new class? What's this master class? Well, I can share a little bit more now because it was secret. Now it's not. It was released in Houston. So Cathy Gandy and Cathy Stipe came to my studio for a whole week. We had so much fun.
It was amazing. It was wonderful.
So we have a master class that will be coming with that searcher, but also you'll have to wait for details on that. But also I think, Cathy, I hate to say it, we could have a master class of all the bloopers. It was hilarious.
Yeah, we did have some bloopers. We did have some fun. A lot of fun.
We sure did. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that coming out in January. But yeah, Katrina, you can rewatch. You're on Facebook. Just share this to your page and you go back and rewatch, fast forward, rewind. Cathy gave you a wealth of information. So everyone, have a great day. Cathy, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Talk soon, everyone. See you
Happy
Thursday.
holidays. Bye-bye.
Happy, yes. What, Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, I don't know. Whatever it is. Bring your casserole.
Bring me food, yes. We'll bring you food.
All right.